beholding oneself in all creatures and all creatures in oneself. One should live without being attached to anything, like aquatic animals, birds, living in water without being drenched by that element. He who succeeds in transcending all pairs of attributes and resisting their influence succeeds in casting off all attachments and attains to the next world, going thither like a bird soaring into the sky from below. It says, beholding oneself in all creatures and all creatures in oneself. Very simple. As within, so without. Inside of your own soul, you have a common ancestor with all beings. And that remnant of that original ancestor is inside of you as well as them. We can break it down to microbes, bacteria, or even the atomic particles that's within us. Or even just simply to prana, oxygen, helium, nitrogen, carbon, and going even so far as hydrogen, which is really that same self that's in all beings, the atomic particle. And that atomic particle is what we're calling in the East, in the ancient African systems, and the Asian systems, as consciousness or God. It's that simple. That's the building blocks and the foundation of the whole reality. And all is conscious. Therefore, all is what? The atomic particle. So it says, beholding oneself in all creatures and all creatures within inside of yourself. Beyond their shape or form, they boil down to the basic fundamental element of the atomic particles. So it says, one should live without being attached to anything. Anything means material objects, family, friends, your own body, animal, human, plants, anything in nature, anything external. You should not be attached to, because it's like getting attached to a whole sea full of atomic particles, which would be like trying to grasp at dust. It's really in a vast desert of sand, and you're just grabbing at nothing. Everything you think is significant with the external world is insignificant in the spiritual world. It's like aquatic animals living in water. So like an aquatic animal living in water without being drenched by the elements. So we have to live in this sea of the self, of these atomic particles that take on these forms and illusions as if they're water and you are a divine bird. And the divine bird, the aquatic bird, the swan, the ibis bird, many different symbolic birds in all of the mythologies, is symbolic of your own soul reaching a certain state of enlightenment in a trance-like meditative state on that water, calm and divine. But you're submerged in it, you're drenched in that element, but you're never attached to it. You stay there to get your sustenance and your needs, and you move on and you fly back into the heavens or the sky. Check. You only come down to get what you need, cool off, bathe, get your food, then ascend back into the spiritual world. It says, he who succeeds in transcending all pairs of attributes and resisting their influence, succeeds in casting off all attachments, attains the infinite in the next world. Attains the infinite in the next world. It says, he who succeeds in transcending all pairs. Pairs is duality, meaning if you're able to transcend duality, understand the basic rudimentary reality of what we're in, beyond the illusion of duality in shape and form, you're able to realize your true self and become what? Detached or non-attached to the physical world. It's that simple. It's either you're going to get trapped here in the world of samsara, this physical world, or you're going to ascend and go into the spiritual world. Before death is your only opportunity to prepare your soul for the spiritual world. If you do not prepare and do not realize the truth before you die, when you die, you return and reincarnate again. And they have to experience the same attachments and desires that you had in previous lives. And we're talking about ancestral lineal reincarnation, basically DNA. He who succeeds in transcending all pairs. Pairs is duality. Remember, black, white, male, female, short, tall, fat, skinny. All of these different dualities. Using those dualities to use social positioning and competition in nature. Right? So a lion may have what? Sharper teeth, may be stronger. The rabbit may be smaller, may be weaker. But it has its weapons, which is to procreate massive amounts of other children and offspring. The lion's weapon is its claws and its teeth. All of this duality and shapes and forms is all just a sea of diversity for competition to see which attributes is better in this person or that person to be able to win this battle, this competition. So it says, he who succeeds in transcending all pairs of attributes, all pairs, when you succeed in ascending or transcending above all pairs of attributes, meaning you love all beings unconditionally. You don't love beings because they are tall, or because they are wealthy, or because they are famous, or because they are strong, or because she is beautiful. You love all beings above the pairs of attributes, above all duality. and you realize your own true self in that same consciousness, that same idea. You help yourself transcend beyond all duality. You don't value yourself based on ups or downs, white or black, this or that. All is that same God, which is you, your own soul, before you were even born, before this form or shape that you're in this present life. He who succeeds in transcending all pairs of attributes and resisting their influence. You have to what? Resist the influence of those different diverse intentions that these different pairs of duality have in nature. You see, it's like a baseball game or a football game or basketball game. You have the red team and the blue team. These are what the dualities. They're going to try to influence you to play into the game because they're trying to get to what? The goal or score a point. He who succeeds in transcending all pairs, you have to transcend the sport that is being played between the two teams of duality. And it says transcending all pairs of attributes and resisting their influence. You have to resist the influence of the sport or the game, right? This game of life. Succeeding in casting off all attachments. You have to cast off the attachment to the trophy, to the touchdown. You have to cast off the attachments to the team members, to the teammates, the cheerleaders, to the coach, to the fans, to the people in the bleachers, right? You have to cast off all attachments. Then you move beyond transcending all pairs of attributes and resisting their influence. Succeeds in casting off all attachments. So you don't, the reason why you want to cast off all attachments is so you don't get caught up in the game and end up losing or end up having to cause suffering to other beings by making them lose. You see, the competition is brutal and is basically evil. And that is the physical and material world. It's that simple. Like we said, race, gender, caste, class, creed, all of that is what duality and attributes and pairs. So it says casting off all attachments, because with the attachments come the competition. The competition comes the evil. It says attains to the infinite in the next world. So that's how you're able to leave the football field. That's how you're able to leave the stadium and go into the real world, beyond the game of life. The real world is the spiritual world. So it says, and attains to the infinite in the next world, going thither like a bird soaring into the sky from below. So when you're able to overcome the duality of the game, of the field, of the competition, with all of its attributes and diversity of forms, you're able to, like a bird, leave the water, not stay in the water like a fish or like all of the other aquatic animals. You're able to be like the bird, the aquatic bird, and fly and soar back into the sky and leave the ocean of what samsara, the ocean of Maya, the ocean of illusion, the ocean of this world. So this video is for those divine birds. It's called a Paramahamsa. And this is for those who know their Bao, their soul, who are in touch with their soul, which is that divine bird, and know that they're about to ascend back into the spiritual world.